Alright everybody, welcome to another video. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the anniversary event for JP, which, to my knowledge, is not out yet on Global. And that's good news, because this video is going to be very helpful for you potentially getting ready to actually, pass it. Because JP players so far have found this to be pretty difficult. There isn't really a ton of strategy or leeway with this, but there is thankfully a really easy way to set up and beat this if you have just some good preparation. So hopefully we're going to do that. Of course, with Wotv, the problem is that some units, some vision cards, and all that stuff is not capable of being gotten very easily. So it's frustrating, I know, but hopefully we'll also give you a second way. So we're covering two strategies. But first, what it is it's a super difficult challenge anniversary event. Now, it happened in the summer where we fought a different story-based boss, and this time we're fighting Muraga, and he is definitely difficult. We also call him the Snake Tank. If you can get through it, well, good news, there are some really nice rewards. And for JP this time, the rewards are actually going to stack. The more people that can complete it, the better the rewards will get for everyone, and will be entered into a lottery where you will be able to potentially win a large sum of lapis, which will be useful to get maybe 2 holo vision cards and a character. I'm joking, of course, because lapis really doesn't go that far. But anyway, so let's go over the easy way. If you have the setup, if you have the right vision cards, and if you have the speed, this is just basically almost foolproof. So what the strategy number 1 revolves entirely around 4 copies of Barts. And for the most part, Barts is the exact same across all of them, with the only difference being the vision card. So let's cover what you essentially need. You do need a 140 Bart, and the big reason is because of stats, and particularly speed. You need every ounce of speed and a good amount of DPS to just make sure that the fight doesn't go on too long. So let's cover the equipment. First off, Blood Sword. There is no two ways around it. This is just essentially required for this. It's not only just the fact that it has high DPS, it's the HP recovery. Since you're running 4 Barts, you don't have a lot of luxury of running a healer or anything, and in that case, this just does a ton of work. The Beast Killer Medallion, which is easy enough to get, and provided that you have farmed it or start farming it now, which is possible, just getting the +6 version for the extra DPS. Now, this one is absolutely crucial. Thankfully, it's from a beginning unit in the game, which is Rob. Rob's TMR is very important for this, mainly because of the ability, which gives you a CT boost. And when you stack this 4 times through 4 Barts, you can actually stack an insane amount of turns to basically get a good leg up on this. So this TMR is really important, and I'll show the rune build in a second. Next up is Minotaur. Now, Minotaur is actually just a really good summon for boot, because his summon effect does give a light power up, but excuse me, sorry, still have a bit of cough. This Esper is also just required across 4 Barts for giving him the correct stats. And this is where we're going to jump over really quickly into here. Take a look at the Esper build. Now, this Esper build is, as far as I know, non-negotiable. The 7% attack boost, critical by 7, light attack by 25, dark resistance of 15, and dark killer of 25. All of this is super important for making sure that your DPS is high enough. Heading over and taking a look at the TMR before we talk about vision cards for this strategy. Let's just go in here, have to scroll a little bit. Now, for the left side, we've gone entirely with HP, and for the right side, we've gone with speed. already essentially covered why speed is so damn important, because it is the thing that you are leveraging in this fight to get a mass number of turns before the opponent can. And if you don't, the enemy just comes up and smashes your head in with a hammer. So pretty rough. Now, looking at the HP, and your mate probably wondering about passives, there's only one passive that is incredibly important. Everything else is just kind of like, sure, all of this is nice, like critical damage up, breaking the damage limit. All of that is really, really, really good to make sure that you have like just an easier time. But the big thing is don't act or disable. In this fight, there are a ton of snakes that are all capable of disabling your guys, and if you do, well, you're SOL, you're shit out of luck. You're just going to have a really, really nasty time. So make sure that you re-roll your TMR runes, try and get a don't act resistance on the left side runes. It's actually much easier than it sounds, but anyway, so there we go. So basically I've covered that. We're going to take a look at a video here, because trying to orchestrate this with people over the guild for a video is actually just really difficult, and I did not record it on my phone, so yeah, because formatting issue. So taking a look here, we're actually just going to jump ahead and look at the full party composition. Now, most of this is not 100% required. You can get by with some lower end vision cards, but key things, you do want a Minotaur card in there, and you do want 2 double-headed dragons. One to push straight past the damage limit for all of your characters, which will be great for stacking damage. And the Minotaur one is just a really good power-up. The other thing that I would say is that like is essentially the Hayu VC, which is a speed VC, which is just such an important thing. This party that you see right here has 2 Hayu VCs, which I would say is more of a luxury. You can potentially use things such as the red Chocobo vision card, or the Final Fantasy XIV, just basically some extra damage. You can throw Chaos Muhammad in there to make yourself a little tankier. All of these things essentially do this. So now we're going to get into the play pattern, and I just realized that we're on super slow speed. So going into the quest, essentially Muraga will get his first turn casting a bunch of abilities, and then if you are stacking as much speed as this team is, you will be able to get yours. So what you want to do at first, you just want to cast Barts' ability that causes the secondary hit, so his follow-up hit attack. And you're going to do that essentially through all 4 Barts. You're not going to move an inch. You're going to stay very, very still. And that's it. That's all you do for round 1. Now, Muraga is going to get a second attack. He's going to hit you with an AoE. It can be a little nasty if you don't have any, like the Dark Bahamut vision card on your team. But it's very, very, very survivable. What's important here is that you've stacked enough speed, because if you haven't, the snakeheads get a turn, or each get a turn, and that's 4 attacks. They will target one of your characters, and you will almost certainly die. So actually, that's one thing I failed to mention really quickly. You want to make sure that Barts has his original passive up for damage on his main job, as well as you want to be using the sub job of Martial Artist. And the Martial Artist, I believe, has the move up +1 and speed support skill. That's another source of speed that's important. Now here is essentially where you're going to cast Rob's TMR skill 4 times. Each of your characters are just going to move in kind of a little block area and cast this skill. Whoops, I hit the wrong thing. That made it full screen. And all of you are just going to do this. And what you're going to notice is that you're going to stack so many more turns than Muraga is. And this is super important. Now, at this point, essentially, you have all of Bart's follow-ups attacks. So you're just going to chain them all together like so. And as soon as one of Bart's has the full Esper gauge, just cast Minotaur. That's going to cast the follow-up attacks again and give the field effect, which is going to help you deal more damage to Muraga, which is pretty important. So at this point, you have it essentially all set up. Once the back snake heads start dying, the main part of Muraga will get weaker, and you're just continuing using Barts' AoE attack, his big AoE, when it isn't the Esper one. Now, once this happens, once all of them are done, you're going to get some summons in here. So you're going to get 4 snakes on the left, 4 snakes on the right. And there will be 4 more that spawn in, 2 to the left and 2 to the right of Muraga here. And that is essentially what you need to be aware of, because these snakes are the things that cast Disable. And even with the resistance that you have on here, you're not bulletproof to it. So you want to just make sure that you're killing off the minor ones. It's absolutely worth a turn. It's also worth to note that at this point in time, once those 4 on the left are done, some of your Barts can recast their buff skill, give them essentially the follow-up attack and just chain more. At this point, you're home and free and clear, essentially. There isn't really much. Barts, with all of the attacks that he is casting, is essentially regenerating almost as much as Muraga can possibly do to him. And that's the game, sort of. And the last thing that you really need to decide is whether you'll go for all the mini snakes. The only reason that you're essentially going for the mini snakes at this point is because you're trying to get as high a score as possible, since there is a ranking system. Now, with us, we missed a bunch of snakes, but we were still able to get top 200 relatively comfortably with just the skill that, or with the outcome that we had. So, for people who are wondering, this is essentially the Bart strategy, and it does require you to essentially have Barts, have certain TMRs, have certain vision cards, and have certain... But this, I would say, is quite possibly the easiest route to just having a really successful, excuse me, and easy time. So that concludes first one. So at the end, about 12-minute mark, now we're going to shift over to the other. Now, the other one, interestingly enough, is potentially the cheesier one. You might have thought that Barts was the cheesy one, but no, this is actually the cheesiest one that we're going to have. So we're going to up the playback speed here, and essentially it is a party of 2, but you can run more characters. You'll notice that Vivi here is only level 99, and Jaden is a 140, and keep in mind that Jaden is a 140 with a good number of reincarnations, because what you're going to see is pretty slow. It has Valfor, it has the medallion, it has, I do believe, a few... you can see the TMR, you can see the gun that Jaden's using, Bahamut vision card. Summer Jaden vision card is also rather important for this strategy. Dark Helena VC and Luartha VC on Vivi, and Vivi won't be doing too terribly much, which is why he doesn't actually have an equipment, and the Sahagin Esper, which is thankfully easy enough. So here we go. We're going to go in and we're going to show off what this essentially is. Now, keep in mind, one other thing is that this strategy is kind of slow. Before we get into it, yeah, this strategy is very, very, very slow. And the reason that it's very, very slow is because, well, you're essentially going to cheese Muraga pretty damn hard. And so here's what Vivi's doing. He's casting that. He's essentially going to... He has perfect evasion right now, so he's just going to evade all of these attacks. Pretty cool, thanks to the Trust Mastery. And now Vivi is going to move into this position and cast Petrify on himself. Now at this point, Muraga is trapped. There is actually nothing Muraga can do anymore. He is completely stuck. This is till the end of time, since there is no turn limit. Yeah, here we go. So casting buffs, getting ready. At this point, we are just going to put it on auto and, well, sit back and enjoy the show. Now, for the sake of our video, we're just going to skip ahead about, well, 11 minutes to say the least. Yeah, getting through all of the snakes and everything is actually very, very slow. You have to worry about reinforcements, but it is capable of being handled by Jaden. Now, the only other thing I think is that Jaden is pretty highly reincarnated, if not fully reincarnated, which is a tall order. But again, this is a pretty cheesy way. You essentially soft lock out the boss where he really can't do anything against you, and provided that you can just kill off the little ones, well, you're essentially good to go. Certain resistances, of course, will be really important for this because you obviously do need to worry about the don't act resistance and that, and you do need enough HP. So, excuse me. For 30 minutes, what did I say? 30 minutes? This might be a little longer than 30 minutes. But I would say at least you need level 89, probably 99 to be comfortable. And yeah, you can see that it is not a perfect strategy here. But it is possible to beat it with cheese and Vivi petrification cheese, which is a good reason to recommend Vivi to some people who maybe can't go the Barts route. Now, just as a wrap up to this video, I'm essentially going to tell you this. The Vivi and Bart strategies are not the only strategy. There are other strategies that have worked, and with Global having some BC bonuses, there's probably other ones that will work over there that won't necessarily work on E. So this is just a little bit of a guide to maybe help some people start preparing, help some guilds start to prepare to get ready and do this. It is completely possible to be done, and I'm sure some people will come up with some new brilliant strategy. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you later, and good luck. I'm done on this.